Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I saw that. So, lived, right?
Good evening. Want to welcome everyone to the regular public meeting for the Lower Gwinnett Township Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. The Board of Supervisors did meet in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss matters of potential litigation related to code enforcement and matters of real estate related to parks. I wanted to flag that the Lower Gwinnett Fall Fest is this Saturday, September 13th, from noon to 6 p.m. on Houston Road by the Wissahickon High School. I think we're going to have beautiful weather, so please come out. Next, I'm going to open it up for public comments on questions on items not on the agenda. So any comments or questions on items not on the agenda? You just come on up and state your name and address.
This is on?
I think so.
Hello. Yes, my name is Maggie Fillinger, 1020 Tintern Drive. I was here in the springtime about the homeless man that's living in the woods. I'm back again on the same issue. He is still living in the woods. There's a path he has tracked up into the woods, and he has sent his tent up again in the woods. So my concern is the safety of all of us women who walk every day on this trail. There's runners on the trail, young women. I mean, I was told that he isn't harmful to us. But my question is, can we get this young man some housing before the winter? Can we get him into a shelter possibly than living in the woods behind the giant?
I know that we kind of addressed this last, I guess was it in the spring?
Yeah, but we didn't address the issue
housing,
of
yeah.
the housing or getting him shelter somewhere.
He would have to want shelter.
Yeah, we can't force him to want a place to live.
I understand that. Can we get social work involved?
So he has to also be open to engaging outside of him being involved. If he's not involved in any kind of criminal activity, being unhoused.
I
is
know
some-
you told me it's not a crime. or
It's
something.
not a crime, but also we can't force you to engage in any social services or supports. I know that our police have had regular contact with him. They talk to him and I think they've left notes for him and he's come over and openly engaged with us. I do understand being concerned, being a woman walking out various times of the day or night when you see somebody that's unfamiliar to you. I completely understand that. I just think unfortunately, there's not much that we can do as it relates to him choosing to reside on what could or couldn't be public property. And I think that's the concern, if it is public property or if he is on private property.
It
Not,
says private property, I believe the police chief talked, it is private. Chief?
Yes, where he was staying before is owned, well, it may have changed. It may be our property. He was,
oh,
behind
is
the
he
shopping
staying on
center.
our property now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was not aware, Mrs. Fillinger, that he was back.
Yes. he
I'm
is
not
back,
aware that
and he
he's
has-
spending the night there.
And his tent is up again.
Yeah, the tent was there. We are not, I was not aware that he was spending nights there.
Well, how do you know? How do you
Just-
know he's spending?
Well, just by what he tells us.
Oh, well, I see his bags at the morning hanging on the utilities behind the hairdressers. So he looks like, I don't know where he's going. Maybe he's going to the Giant to
Right.
take care of his bodily functions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can look into it again.
Can you? Yeah,
We'll-
can you
we'll-
let me
we'll-
know?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a social worker should be involved?
We-
I mean, you know.
We make all those attempts every time. That would be protocol to just open up all those avenues. And like Daniela stated, he has to want help. He does not need help.
Oh,
He
does?
he does have housing available to him.
Oh,
So, yeah, he's not looking for help.
Okay, that's a different story. Okay, but is he allowed to set up a tent? That's my other question.
Well, I'll look into that. I'll look into that as to where he is staying and if he has permission to be there.
Okay.
We can do that.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments or questions, concerns on items not on the agenda? Anybody online? No? Okay. First up, we have a presentation of a sketch plan related to a proposed townhouse development at Springhouse Nursery. I think we have Mr. Penna. Come forward.
Thank you for having me again. So, Jamie, is that going up there? I can kind of go through this a little bit for everyone who hasn't seen this yet. We're proposing Gwynedd Point Village, which is a luxury carriage home community in Lower Gwynedd. That is a revised site plan now that all parcels of this triangle have been acquired. We adjusted it from the last time that we spoke. We kept it to what we discussed, which was 52 townhomes proposed with 1-to-1 ratio of overflow parking. This picture actually depicts 60 overflow parking spaces. We just got the survey back for existing conditions on this site, so we are still looking at this and how this fits on the existing conditions if all the meets and bounds are correct. So this again is conceptual. It's not actual until we put this on the overlay of the existing conditions map. So this could change a little bit, but the key to this again is the number of units, which is 52, and the number of spaces, which is at least 52, if not more. So that's what that shows. This is just a little bit about me. You know, I developed the Fairland Village in Lower Gwynedd. It was 3.8 acres. We utilized the Pike overlay zoning for this development, and that's what we were asking to utilize for this development as well. Just a couple pictures of what Fairland Village looks like to give everyone an idea of what this development is going to look like as well. These are just some pictures of the townhouses. And again, the product will be almost identical to these. The development itself will be almost identical to these with Belgian block curbs. The entry features will be similar to these as well. The streetscape will be identical to this as well. Again, all of this will be determined through the conditional use hearing. So what we're asking for at this meeting is to basically allow us to use it and extend the map to this property. Ultimately, we have to go in front of the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors for the conditional use permit, which would be to go through and kind of finalize all these details. But these are just some ideas of what we did at Fairland Village, so you can get an idea of what this would look like as well. Some of my property details for those that don't know. It consists of 6 parcels that are approximately 9.5 acres at the triangle of Bethlehem Pike Route 309. These are the addresses. 5 of them are residents and 1 of them is a nursery, Springhouse Nursery. The existing conditions, it's currently a commercial use of Springhouse Nursery of 2.1 acres. Our goal is to eliminate the commercial use of the nursery. A key to this is that it's not 5 acres of wooded undeveloped land. There are several buildings and most of the property is cleared. Planting of new trees and shrubs will ultimately lead to more than are currently on the site. One thing about this is the existing conditions report that came back today, which I also sent, showed that the impervious of this property is already 30% for the 9.5 acres combined. The overlay allows up to 75% impervious. It looks like from what we came up with, this will be around 50% impervious. So way under the 75% threshold for the overlay district. This is just the aerial view of what's there now. For those that don't know where it is, with the intersection of 309 and Bethlehem Pike. Again, a little bit about the proposed plan is on the next slide. We propose using the Pike overlay zoning, which allows for 6 units per acre plus commercial. This zoning would allow for 6. We're asking for less than that with no commercial component on this plan. Overflow parking is something that's been discussed at length. This plan will absolutely have a 1-to-1 ratio for spaces to units. There are 2 entrances proposed on this. One was on Cedar Hill and one was on Bethlehem Pike, as you saw on the original plan. Just a little bit about the development, which we talked about at the last meeting, but for those that weren't here, target market for these homes are similar to Fairland Village and Madison Estates. Currently at our development, there are 0 school-aged children residing in Fairland, which limits the school impact significantly. Basically, if someone's going to pay $950,000 for a townhouse, or for a home to raise children in, they probably want yards to do it. HOAs restrict the use of these yards, can't put up swing sets, can't put up slides. So the HOA kind of controls that, and in turn controls the demographic of the type of person that would come in here. So the limit to the
I don't want to
Sorry.
interrupt you, but
Sure.
can you just clarify how many, what is the number of bedrooms in the townhomes?
typically 3 to 4.
3 to 4?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that would depend on, I guess, the size, because the end units obviously are a little bit bigger. The interior units are obviously a little bit smaller. Around the square footage of the houses at Fairlands are around 2,800 square feet.
Is that the same at Fairland? It's 3 to 4 bedroom
Yes,
homes?
that's what's there.
Are there rules against subleasing?
Yes, actually, you can't lease at Fairlands. That was something that the conditional use was asked for when we did it the first time for Fairlands. That was discussed with, we thought it would be best to have people that had ownership there and couldn't sublease it out to other people and not have control. It's worked very well at Fairlands. So, everyone that's there lives there. If they don't live there, their children live there, but you can't even lease to anyone at
There's no
Fairlands.
issue with Airbnb or that
No.
type of?
It's not permitted.
Just one additional question, and I'm going back. I was going to wait to the end, but I don't want to forget. Do you own all of the 6 parcels? Do you have an agreement of
We're
sale
going to sell on all of them, correct?
of all, but you're not
Yes.
currently the owner?
I'm the equitable owner. correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, the homes will be extremely close in size, materials, and design. Actually, we just literally took the footprints of these buildings and put them right on here. So it's actually identical. HOA rules and management similar. I do have a traffic engineer here, consultant with us today to answer any questions about traffic impacts. That's something that we'll have to do as well for the conditional use and for the application is to do an impact on traffic. We did that for Fairland. Ultimately, we're eliminating a commercial use here. The tractor trailers, landscape trucks, dump trucks, that's going to go away. The other thing about HOA is that the HOA is also going to be responsible for the street maintenance and the trash. That's something that's important because it's going to be an enclosed development. So, tax revenues without services like trash or street repairs or snow removal and stuff, that's all in the residents that are in the development. And then the last page is just the plan sketch here, which is what we had in the first page, just in black and white. Again, we just ran the numbers today and it looks like this is around 50% impervious coverage when the overlay allows 75% impervious coverage. So a lot of green space. I think something else that I've heard throughout the process here is the issue with Cedar Hill and Bethlehem Pike. Now that we have ownership of that triangle piece, might be a nice time to kind of fix that intersection or align it a little bit better so that it's not so dangerous coming out there. That's all I have for you for the presentation. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Before the board kind of go, I wanted to open it up to the public that are here and present tonight. So I would want to hear from people that are present here tonight. If you guys have any questions or comments, and then we'll ask our questions if that makes sense. So if anybody's here and has any questions or comments, come on up. Now's your time. Come on up. Don't be afraid. We're all your neighbors. Hi, you just have to state your name and address.
Okay, sure. I am Lisa Washabaugh and I'm at 1235. Okay.
Pick it up. If you just pull it up.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, so it's Lisa Washabaugh. I'm at 1235 New Church Court. And I'm actually the president of the Terrellum Estates Board. I have another board member here with us. This is the first time I'm seeing this, and I was just wondering, where does that intersection coming out? Is that directly across from where our exit is? And is that an issue in terms of traffic?
So actually, it's just conceptual. This can be moved. So I think that's something we're going to
Okay,
discuss
'cause
as we
otherwise
get.
That would be hard for someone to take a left hand, coming out of our,
So so
development.
I think there's both sides. I've heard arguments of both
Yeah.
sides. They want it aligned or they don't want it aligned. I think that's
I don't
something that the township can, and the engineers can certainly
okay.
talk about because we have a lot of room, obviously, to put that. And I think, from a development standpoint, we're open to making what works work.
Okay.
And I think we would have their traffic engineer, our traffic engineer, input from the community.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's decided. I suspect nothing's decided because we don't actually have plans.
Right.
But it would really depend on what the traffic engineers would say, what your
Right.
development has to say.
Right. Back when Montgomery Mall was a huge thing, I remember around Christmas time when we first moved in 30 years ago, where we couldn't even get out of because there was so much traffic going by. And obviously Montgomery Mall is not an issue, but every community in our area seems to be putting in more housing. And they say, oh, 50 units, that's not a big deal. But North Wales is putting in units, Ambler's putting in units. I mean, it's just everybody around us is building. And so I think it's good to look at not just what we're doing, but if we could, as a group, kind of look to see what our other townships around us are also putting in, because it affects us. Right,
Absolutely.
well, thank you.
Sure.
Do you want me to just?
Yeah, I'm back again, Maggie Fillinger, 1020 Tintern Drive. I live in the reserve at Trewellen, which is right across the street. And coming out of the reserve at Trewellen, as Lisa spoke about the estates at Trewellen, you cannot really make a left turn onto Bethlehem Pike. You can sit for 5 to 10 minutes to make a left turn out of our development onto Bethlehem Pike. It is very dangerous. Also, the danger zone is Gypsy or Cedar Hill and Bethlehem Pike. I think the police chief can attest to that because there's constant accidents there. Are we going to put a light in at Cedar Hill and Bethlehem Pike, which is really very, very congested? So traffic is our major concern at the reserve at Trewellen. And it's traffic, traffic, traffic.
It seems to be the buzzword for any development.
Yes.
Let me just real quick, so Bethlehem Pike is a state road.
Yes.
Any traffic light would have to be a PennDOT issue. And I think one of the things that Mr. Penna talked about, and that would be something the township would be interested in if this happens to go forward, is to clean up the intersection, sort of all the trees, and it's, because I know it's difficult to see when you're coming out of
Yes.
Cedar Hill to make a right. So that would be one of the things that would be addressed in his land development plans if this goes forward.
So there will be a traffic study? is
Yeah,
them-
of course, yes,
has to be.
definitely, there has.
There
to be.
has to be?
Yeah. If it
Okay.
were to move forward, there would have to be a traffic study, but we're talking about just related to it, putting in a light and putting in recommendations. It's not actually in our control. PennDOT controls Bethlehem Pike.
Right. I know there's been talk previously about putting a traffic light in at Cedar Hill and Bethlehem Pike. And just making, if we're coming north in Bethlehem Pike from the Springhouse Shopping Centre, making a left into our development is also a problem. Several of our residents have got hit
Yeah.
making a left. If you don't pull over close to the yellow line, and they go by you on the right, it is very, very dangerous in that area.
Absolutely.
Okay, so again, traffic, traffic, traffic.
Thank
So-
you.
So I can address a couple of things on that. If you could pull up the site plan real quick, I'll just make a couple comments. So first, north is a problem. Luckily, we're turning right out of ours, not left. So that's very helpful for our side because turning right out of there would be significantly easier. Also, I don't see anybody really going out Cedar Hill Road. Because if you're coming out here and you need to go north, you're going to come out and you're going to go right. If you need to go south on 309, you're also going to go right, go up to Welsh, turn around and come back 309. Unless you want to make a left out of there quickly, head down and go over. So we have looked at this pretty extensively. I agree with you. Going north on 309 is an issue. Luckily, I mean, we're on the other side of the street. So we're kind of have an opposite issue. I get traffic's an issue. That's why we do traffic studies, but just, we looked at this. The second point of entry on Cedar Hill is really for an emergency exit. I don't see people using that. Maybe they will. But I think a majority of the traffic here will come out of the main entrance on Bethlehem.
To
But
just-
your plan is not to take down the house on the corner of Cedar Hill Road, the three houses. Are they going to be demolished in this plan?
This is a complete redevelopment of that site.
Okay,
Complete redevelopment of the 9.5 acres, which means, yes, everything will be raised.
okay.
And again, back to the corner, if township wants to do that, I'm sure they do, we can try to figure out how to realign that. But again, that would be the engineers to discuss the design.
And is there going to be more green space in this development as opposed to Fairland?
So Fairland has 62% impervious coverage. This will have 50% impervious coverage. So there will be more green space per the acreage for this than there is at Fairlands. Fairlands has a commercial component. This does not.
Okay, so there will be more green space.
You talk
Yes.
about more green space as opposed to how it looks right now.
Yes,
I don't think that's what he's saying. What he's saying is compared to Fairlands, it's going to have more green space, but not necessarily more green space as opposed to like what it looks like right
yes.
now.
And by the way, we live across the street. The trucks and the commercial stuff is no problem for the people living across the street, and the estates can tell you the same thing. Thank you.
You can just come on up, sir. Just come on up. Yep, come on.
Thank you.
You just have to state your name and your address.
Sure, no, I'm Carrie Levinson and
Pick up the microphone. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There you go.
got it. I'm Carrie Levinson. I live at 1204 Cedar Hill Road. If you're going north on Bethlehem Pike, turn onto Cedar Hill Road. We're the second house in on the right. First of all, let me say this. I very much favor a project there. I think that would be, a wonderful improvement for the area. My concerns, well, let me ask a question if I can. I noticed that at the triangle of Cedar Hill Road and Bethlehem Pike, there's nothing shown on the diagram. Is that going to stay as it is now, wooded, empty?
It'll be green
Because
space.
there is a prohibition right now, or at least there was years ago, a prohibition on doing anything there, building of any kind. Now, of course, the township can change that, but it was there as a condition to allowing the first house on the left, I think when Mr. Penna has acquired, that there would be nothing built on that property. So is the plan to just leave that as it is, wooded, or what is your plan for there? Your turn.
My turn. Okay. The plan currently, first of all, there's no deed restrictions for restricting anything on that property. So I don't know what the not permitted to build anything means. Maybe it was an agreement, but that's not a deed restriction. Currently, it's going to be used for green space, typically with stormwater management. We don't do above ground stormwater management. We do
I'm
below
sorry, can you say that again?
stormwater management.
Yeah.
So we don't do above ground stormwater management typically for these sites. Our site there's no stormwater management above ground there. There is huge underground piping that takes the water. We have a couple rain gardens here and there, but majority of them are underground. So most likely we're going to try to do an underground retention basin somewhere. We have a few areas where we can put that. That's all going to be fleshed out during land development.
When you say underground, so it'll be covered over, or it'll be an open pit?
It'll be covered over. Correct.
So the present plan is that there would be nothing built there other than stormwater?
There is no present plan. This is a conceptual.
Present plan is the part that
This is a
troubles me.
conceptual plan because we didn't go through land development yet, where the engineers can address stormwater management and where it would go.
Right, and when you say present plan, then that could always change.
I have to go through a conditional use process with the
Sure.
township, and then they have to go through land development.
Okay.
So
Ultimately, the township.
I'm sorry, I
That's all right,
trouble
no problem.
hearing.
Ultimately, the township is going to have to approve whatever Mr. Penna intends to do. And it would have to go through a number of different layers. So starting with, submitting plans to the planning commission. Yeah,
Look,
Jamie.
we actually have a,
Actually, I'm very familiar with the
Okay.
process.
you do, okay.
Okay, so you know what's going to happen.
And I appreciate that. I'll tell you something. I think the township, you and your predecessor have done a great job in managing the development in the township. I think it's been terrific. I think it's a unique township. I've lived here my life, my parents live in the same house. So no, I've watched it and I think I'm very comfortable with it. What I'm concerned about here overall, as obvious, and you hear this every time someone wants to talk about a new project, is density. And the density here, and the woman who spoke before me mentioned the fact that there's very little traffic that comes out of the commercial use now, which is true. There's very little. You add 100, if you have 52, so let's say there's 100 cars, give or take, that you're going to add to that area. I can tell you, I used to run, now I walk at my age, I walk along Cedar Hill Road frequently, and it's become a throughway. People are trying to avoid the intersection of Welsh Road and 309 or Bethlehem Pike. So they're coming down Cedar Hill Road. And I can tell you, most of the day, it's heavily traveled. I think adding 100 cars there, some of which will go on Cedar Hill Road, some of which will go onto Bethlehem Pike is an issue. And it's not one that I'm sure can be resolved tonight, but it's a concern. And so density is something that troubles me. And when I say density, I understand what that means to Mr. Penna, right? If you can't sell enough units, you start to affect his profit, and I appreciate that. But I think there has to be a balancing here of the impact on the community, as well as preserving the incentive for Mr. Penna to go through and try and build this. The other concern that I have is the green space. It's Fairfield.
Fairlands.
My wife told me this 3 times before tonight. When you look at Fairlands, it's really asphalt. There's some green on, some lawns. It's certainly not like Truellen.
Mhm.
My hope is that when you finally do approve this, that you give some thought to the amount of green space that would be required, which of course, again, then affects density. So those are principally our concerns that we have. The traffic, the other thing that was of concern, the other thing we have on Cedar, there are a lot of school buses that go down Cedar Hill Road. And again, the additional traffic, I don't know how that, the timing works, and I don't know quite how that all interacts anymore. But it's of concern. There's a lot of kids that get in and off, on and off those buses, and traffic will affect that. There's no question that it's going to affect that. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Mr. Living-
Went closely.
You
Excuse
said
me.
Mr. Livingston? Is that your name? Mr.
Carrie Douglas.
Mr. Garrett?
Carrie works fine.
Oh, okay. Mr. Livingston, I want to say that I appreciate you so much. Levinson. Thank you so much for coming out. And I think we appreciate your feedback.
I appreciate you're taking the time and listening to us.
No, and that's partially why we wanted to make sure that this was presented again, so that the community had an opportunity to give us feedback around how they feel things, how they feel about the project and any impacts that they are aware of, because you live so intimately to it.
As I've said, I think the township has done a terrific job in managing it. I trust you to manage it just as you have in the past. Density is always a concern, right? You hear that every time there's a project. Those are the words you hear. I understand that. Here, it's a particular concern when you just look at the property, when you see it. It's of concern to you already, isn't it? That intersection has to be of concern to you already. So you're aware. I'll try to stand up straight. It already has to be, you're aware of it. It has to be of concern to you. I'm sure of that. So I'm not adding anything to it. I'm just here commenting on something of which you're already aware. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Diane Williams, 1050 Tintern Drive, across the street in Reserve Tree Welland. I've been a real estate broker for 43 years in the area. So I know what aesthetically really appeals to people. It took me 5 years to find what I wanted. And so I'm glad not all my buyers were that way. I'm really concerned about the aesthetic look of the community. If you've been at the Reserve, you know that between every house, there's green space. There's side entrance garages, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. We also know that David Cutler, when he was in business, was a very good businessman. So if he could make money by putting all that green space in and space between every building, I don't understand why these have to be lined out all in a row? Why isn't there more green space between? I, I don't know what the zoning exactly is for the amount per space, but do they have to fill up every single bit of space that they're allowed and not do that green space and make it look aesthetically pleasing? I mean, I think the houses at Fairlane are attractive, but I don't think the development is. There's so much driveway and the asphalt. It's not that pleasing. So if you're going to have something in our community and there's not a lot of land left, I think that they should want to make it more pleasing and more attractive for our community. It's going to be to the entrance of our Lower Gwinnett from Bethlehem Pike. And I think if we're going to allow something like that with the traffic problems and all, that we should be really thinking about the aesthetics of the community too. And does township have any say on that as to how many houses they can build there?
I mean, I think, well, thank you first for coming out and sharing your thoughts. I think this is the project and the conception that was brought to us. And we're kind of trying to get the feedback from the community and trying to get an understanding about how it's going to impact the community, the thoughts, and really just as an open, being transparent as it relates to, we want to hear from you. I don't think we can, so there's requirements as it relates to the impervious surface and the surface that you can build on. And so he meets those requirements as it relates to this project that he's proposing, or in the conception of the project that he's proposing. We can't necessarily dictate to him any more than him meeting those requirements. We can't dictate to him that he must put side yards in, because that's not a requirement of townhomes. But it's important for us to hear from the community that this is the feedback that you have as it relates to it. You can ask him directly if he has an interest into it, but we can't demand that of him.
And I think that, new construction, no matter what it is, everybody buys it. Many years ago, if you built and back up to the turnpike, everybody bought new construction. And then you go to resell it, and the resale people take a second look. And I think that these will, sell because they're new construction. But are we thinking long-term? How is it going to look long-term after buyer goes in? And I think I think there should be pride on both sides, on the township and on the builder, wanting to build a community that is aesthetically pleasing, besides making a profit too.
Well, let me just add to what Ms. Duckett said. It's important that we hear from you, but I think equally important and maybe more important is that Mr. Penna hear from you all, because you're all going to be neighbors, and it's important that he hears what your concerns are, as well as we hear what your concerns are. So I echo Ms. Duckett's sentiment. Thank you for coming out and sharing.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You can come on up, Mr. Penna. Do you want to respond in any way? You have a desire to? You don't have.
I can. It's, yeah, I have no problem. I
You
can
come on
see
up.
what everyone says first, and then I can,
Okay.
if someone has a question or wants me to respond, I'm happy to do so.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Oh, hi, I'm Nancy Hager. I also live in Llewellyn Estates. My question is, are there any plans to have a walking trail around the development?
There will be some sort of, the trail and sidewalk system in the township is important. In fact, 2 meetings ago, or we had presentation of our comprehensive trail plan for the entire township. I would hope that anything that's built, at least as long as
We're on the board.
we're on the board, there will be a trail and sidewalk component to it. We have a beautiful trail system in the township. Anytime somebody comes to develop something, the more trails we can put in, hopefully at some point,
We can
probably
connect
long
them.
after I'm gone, they'll all be connected.
I mean, that's our goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? This is your time. I mean, there's more times, but this is one of your times.
I can make a couple comments, I guess, since everyone's,
Okay, let's just check and see if anybody
Sure.
online. Is there anybody online, Jamie? Nope. Okay.
just briefly, I agree completely. So I live down the street as well on Bethlehem Pike. I also obviously have my office and business at Fairlands. Fairlands is a different story than this. There's a commercial component at Fairlands, something that the board before wanted. That's why it looks the way it does. That's why there's a lot of asphalt there. This property, while the purpose of the overlay is to, is to redevelop, I also agree that having green space is important, which again is why I'm trying to design this not at the 75% threshold to where the zoning allows for, but to a 50% threshold to where it allows for. So having 50% impervious coverage versus 75% impervious coverage, there's significant amount of green. I unfortunately didn't get the color copy of this in time to send to Jamie, but there's a color copy showing what it looks like, and there's significant green there. I get that it's changed, it's different, but Trewellen was in the same boat when Trewellen was built years ago, and the land costs a lot cheaper then than it does now. So I get it completely. And, you know, when we go through the conditional use process, that's something that the planning commission will input into and the board will input into. And if it works and I can make it work, then I will make it work. That's why I said before that the corner there is slated right now to be empty. I'm not sure if we're going to have to pull that back in order to fix that intersection or just leave it open. There's definitely going to be sidewalks and curbs that are going to go around the entire development, just like there is at Fairlands. I mean, that was a huge thing when we did Fairlands. They wanted sidewalks to connect. Unfortunately, BMW never did. And now you've got kids walking on Bethlehem Pike to get to my sidewalk and dodging cars. But I get it all. So again, you know, I'm here to try to make this work, make it work for Lord Wanted. So, you know, if I can answer any questions along the way, I'm always around. I'm right down the street.
I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Penna.
Sure.
I don't know if you can bring it back up, but you were talking a little bit about the turn lanes as it relates to leaving your development. So you were saying nobody would make a right or nobody would make, I just want you to confirm it one more time so I can.
I was talking about the new development.
Your new development, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to come out and go north on 309, you
Mhm.
come out and you make a right.
Mm-hmm.
The issue for Trewellen is coming out making a left there to go north on
Absolutely,
309.
yeah.
So I was just saying that we're on the other side. I think the issue.
You
is-
were saying you didn't believe anybody was going to come out on the Cedar Hill.
I personally wouldn't come out on Cedar Hill if I lived there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I would go on Cedar Hill if I lived there. If I need to go on north on 309,
Mhm.
I would go right. Now, if we ended up doing something at Cedar Hill with the turn, maybe, but I mean, coming out and turning left or coming out and turning right is where I would think people would come out and do.
You're not proposing that you would be restricting. You're just
Oh,
saying,
no, no, no,
your
no.
belief is that nobody would do that.
There is nothing, nothing concrete now. That's
No,
why.
absolutely. I know. I
Yeah, yeah,
understand.
yeah.
I'm
I
just
think
saying you're
that-
proposing it.
No, we were talking through this logistically, trying to figure out which way we would go. These were the discussions.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So we've had a lot of recent development that's come before us, I guess, as a board. And one of the things that we kind of have made almost every developer engage in is conversations with the community.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you know about Amber Yards, but they've had a series of over almost 9 months, having 3 to 4 different open houses and conversations and engagement. Similar with the site at Arcadia, I think we had an open house. We've had 2 kind of meetings and they kind of sat down and talked to the neighbors and heard them and went back and kind of developed a plan based upon that feedback. Have you had any engagement with the neighbors, the Tintern or Trewellen Estates and Cedar Hill Road, the individuals who live there to kind of actually hear what they're saying and proposing and then crafting or at least coming before us with a plan that kind of outlines and kind of incorporates some of that?
Sure. So when we started looking at this, obviously the people that live there have lived there for generations. There's a few that have, and they're here now as well. So obviously they've been here for a very long time. There's also residents on Cedar Hill up a little bit that we've discussed with as well. That's where the no commercial aspect came into play. They were adamant that they didn't
That
want
was
to see.
feedback from them.
Correct. That
Okay.
was from them that they didn't want to see commercial there. Originally, I was proposing to do a mixed use development just like Fairlands. They didn't want to see it, so we scratched it. And we did more of a traditional townhouse development with, again, all of the stuff that everyone's bringing up today is exactly why I came up with what we have there. Green space, sidewalks, 2 exit points. You know, all that was already discussed, more parking, so people aren't parking all over the place. All that stuff was feedback from residents. B&Z gave us some information. And again, I'm right down the street. I have a shop down the street, a deli down the street that I talk to people every day. So, you know, I think everyone can have input and I'm absolutely fine with.
Well, one of the
taking
reasons
it?
I'm
Yeah,
asking is
sure.
because some of the residents at Trewellen Estates at least have reached out to me and I've heard some of their concerns, but I don't see it necessarily reflected in the plan. And I think they're reaching out to me because I think, and maybe others on the board, I'm not certain, they don't believe that their voice has been heard, or at least that they felt that it was presented to them. We appreciate you coming and doing it twice in front of the board.
Sure.
But as in full transparency, you know, we're here representing the public at
Sure.
large. And if they're reaching out and saying this didn't occur, we're going to ask probably, I mean, from my perspective, I'm just going to say that I wouldn't want us to move forward in any real capacity until I know that you've had actual conversations where you've opened yourself up and said, hey, anybody interested in finding out, come on in and I'm going to let you know. I'm talking about Tintern, I'm talking about Jerome Estates, the people in Cedar Hill, and
Sure.
all affected individuals who feel like they maybe potentially, because it could be also Chesterfield. I don't know who else doesn't know
So,
about it.
Sure. So again, I have no problem in doing that. I don't like knocking on doors. I don't like.
No, I'm not
calling
saying knocking on doors.
people.
I'm saying maybe set up a time. What I can tell you what others have done. They've identified a date, identified a place, identified a location, and said, please come on out and we'll give you information and hear you. Like I said, Amber Yards did it for, I think that they had about 5 or 6 open houses.
So I don't mind.
It sounds like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have the president of one of the homeowners associations. I don't know, is there a president? We got two,
Does Tintern have a homeowners association? Do
the
you?
meeting of the presidents.
Yeah, we got two. We
Perfect.
got two. Who from Cedar Hill?
Okay, yeah, so, yeah. If there's the ability of them to ask.
Yeah, we're
questions.
waiting. Nobody's raising their hand. Unless, Jamie, did somebody raise their hand? Nobody raised their hand?
I don't see anybody, but if they want to talk, they can.
So I just think that this board at least wants to make sure that the community is, nothing snuck by them in any kind of way. We want to make sure everybody has many opportunities to give feedback and is involved in the process, because this is where we all live as neighbors.
I
And
totally get it.
and we
And then
appreciate.
there's no surprises at conditional use, right? Where
Yep.
there's like a ton of neighbors out here raising points that you could have addressed maybe to assuage their concerns, you know.
Sure.
earlier
So,
on.
I mean, I've done this for a long time. I've developed property for 20 years. I get it totally. I've never done that in my 20 years, had actually open houses. I've never done that, but I'm more than happy to have a discussion. I think from all the input that I've had from the neighbors on Cedar Hill that I've talked to, people that have lived there, this isn't the last month. This is about a year
Mhm.
of designing and coming up with options and putting this together to make it work. So while I have no problem doing that, there are 6 families that live at these properties.
Mhm.
I am trying to get this done in a fairly timely fashion so that they can move on to the next stages of their lives.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them here now.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem in having that discussion. What I'm asking for is to have the overlay map amended. Having that advertised and having that done, there's no reason why we can't have these discussions before we get into the next step. Quite honestly, I can go into conditional use and you can say no. We don't need the conditional use. I'm just trying to
I'm getting
avoid
fired.
Oh, I
What's
think
up?
somebody's trying to talk.
Sorry, that was me. I was talking to my 4-year-old. I just had a comment. I'm a resident at 1213 Cedar Hill Road, Tower Bevavino, and I am in favor of this project. So we are directly affected, and I just wanted to my 4-year-old would like to say hello. So we are affected, and we would like to hopefully have the process go through. And I think there's a lot of great positive impacts to the community, to the township, that this project will have on us. So that is all.
Thank you.
You.
Did you get her name, Michelle?
Yeah, she put it in the chat.
Oh, she did. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know where I was, scared to crap.
Okay, we have a couple people that want to come on up. You can come on up. Yeah, I don't know.
Tara, if you're listening, they would like, they would like you to be more specific about the positive impacts that you think the development will result in.
Sure. Okay. Sorry, I really thought this was going to be easier with a child. So I know Pete mentioned the sidewalks. As obviously a mom, we do not have sidewalks, and we don't have green space, and we don't have the areas that I would love to have, the kids. So people who are moving to this potential community will have that for whether it's their kids, whether it's themselves, whatever, you know, their needs are. I think that is very helpful for our area. I know we can't go on walks, you know, it's a quite dangerous road. So having some sort of community would be beneficial for people moving into the area. And Lower Gwynedd, you know, we do lack some housing. So I think this would also be beneficial for people who would like to be in the Wissahickon School District and have more opportunity to live here. Or if someone is downsizing, there is somewhere else for them to go that will allow for a newer family to come in and have a single family home. So.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
But I'd have to.
Can I,
You can come on up. Come on up. Yeah, come on up.
Just use the microphone
Those are
so that
folks on
people
Zoom.
online.
People online can't hear you if you don't talk in the
First of
microphone.
all, I just want everyone to understand, we did not know about this at all till a neighbor of ours told us about it.
Mm.
I think it's a great idea for Mr. Penna to meet with the neighbors to get their input. I think it's a wonderful idea. The second thing is this, I have heard, following, or as soon as I did hear, I started trying to get information. So I contacted an engineer and I talked to a developer who's been active more nationally, but some in the township as well. And Mr. Penna, what they said is that you typically develop when in your projects that you've done, you develop the commercial part, but you brought in somebody else to do the residential part. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
For Fairland Village, I developed the property. I did the site work to it. I built the commercial building, and WB Homes built the individual townhomes. Correct.
But in essence, you were the developer of the whole part. You brought in a subcontractor to do.
No.
So the information I have is accurate. No, what I'm trying to find out, all I'm trying to find out is here, are you going to do this entire project? This is now all residential. If the
Correct.
information I have is accurate,
So
then you haven't done residential, you've done commercial.
that's not accurate. I built
Okay.
homes.
That's what I wanted
Homes.
to find
That's not accurate. Fairland Village specifically, I sold the lots to a builder that lives in Lower Gwynedd that wanted to do the project. So I built the site. I developed the site.
And then somebody else came in and built.
And
Was
then-
it one contractor that
Correct.
built all the homes?
Correct.
So the information I have is sort of accurate. A little
I'm not
bit
sure
accurate.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
No, all I want to know is who's going to be developing the property? Because if what you've done in the past is you've done the commercial, there is no commercial here, at least as now presented, then there's only residential. But if you haven't done the residential, I was just curious, who's going to do the residential? Or are you going to do?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
You're not sure.
I'm not sure, correct. Is that a problem?
Well, if you don't know who's going to develop it, yeah, I guess.
That's not what you asked. I am developing it. I'm developing the property. Who builds the homes? I could do it, or I might not do
Somebody
it.
else.
Correct.
And Mr. Penna, could you maybe
That's not
explain like
how-
what that means? Maybe.
Sure. So a
just statistics.
subcontractor would mean I own the properties and I hire someone to come in and build a house. That's not what happened at Fairlands. That's not what would happen here. Development work in general, when you're building developments, you have a developer who develops the property. They either take it through approval process, improve the property itself, and then either build the homes themselves after they're done and connected, meaning all the utilities are in, they're all connected, stormwater management's in, everything's ready to go, the house is ready to be built. At that point, typically in the development world, a builder, a regional builder or a tract builder would come in and build those, like a WB Homes. Sal Payone does those type of communities. I have done smaller communities. I have done residential homes. I do 2 or 3 a year. So really, that's what I plan on doing with this.
But I think what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is you get all the approvals, you have the plan approved, and then
Correct.
if you were to have another builder come build the homes, they would be fitting it into those already approved plans. There
Correct.
No,
wouldn't
no,
be-
I understand.
There wouldn't be a
Correct.
Well, what
change.
he's saying
Mr.
is
Le-
he's going to develop it.
Between developer
And then
So
Right.
Mr. Levinson, just what are
Correct.
your concerns with that? Just because this is something that is new to me, so I just want to know what your concerns are.
My concern is, who's going to be doing the work? I hope, what I'm hoping is that I'll be someone with extensive experience in doing residential development, right? If Mr. Penna has experience in doing residential development, that's a good thing. If this is his first try at that, not such a good thing. So the information I got was from this other developer who just told me that he was aware of a couple of projects that Mr. Penna had done, and that he typically had done the commercial part. When I say done, developed and built it, but that he brought in other people, which is fine. I just want to understand how the project is going to get done and who's going to do it. Because if we're sitting and we're talking to Mr. Penna, but somebody else is going to come in and do it, that changes how I would view it.
And I completely understand the concern. I think one of the, I'll say the issues is whatever gets built is going to have to be built to the plans that are approved by the township and through a constant process of inspections by our building inspectors. I agree with you. We should know who's going to be the builder, who's going to actually hammer the nails. I agree with you, but there'll be oversight every step of the way. And that's just regardless of who the builder is.
No, but I think it does matter if the person who's doing the overall development has experience with residential, if this is going to be a residential project.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that I was just curious because of the information that I had gotten from this other developer who said, just as an offhanded comment. And so I was thinking about it and saying, well, to me, this is very important. I live right across the street from it. So I'm hoping it's done to a very high standard and a very high quality. And I recognize the processes here in the township are designed to protect us. And as I said before, I think you guys have done a great job. And I just would like to see it carried on in this one as well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Quick question back. Do you feel that Fairlands was not adequately built or built to a high quality? Do you believe Fairland Village was not built to a high quality or was built to a high quality? So I would suggest coming down and taking a look.
When I look at it, I think it's quite appropriate for where it is. It's on a main highway, commercial area, but a lot of it's concrete and blacktop. My wife and I frequent your store. I think it's terrific. But I think up here, where you're talking about a residential area, I think that has a different tone to it.
Agreed. Agreed.
My question here was really just an afterthought because it was just thrown in by the folks that I was talking to.
So I think that's irrelevant. I think it's going to be a fantastic community. And I agree with you that Fairlands is different than what's up there. That's exactly why I came up with this plan the way I did.
I have
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
thank you. If anyone else from the audience wants to go, I have a question after you get done. Okay.
Hello, my name is Sean Fitzpatrick. I'm at 1213 Cedar Hill Road. I just want to let everybody know I'm for the project. We've been working with Pete. We definitely want to get, we have a family, young family. My wife, Tara, was on the Zoom call.
You left her
You were
with
the
the
smart one to get out of the
kids.
house.
I can hear you helping
Uh,
her. Oh.
She's spoken for my bit, so.
You left her with the kids.
Yeah. So, we have a young family. We definitely want to move as fast as possible to get our house sold, so we can get out of here.
Oh, you don't like Lower Wood?
No, we want to stay in Lower Glen.
Oh, okay.
Obviously. It's a beautiful neighborhood. I mean, right now, the way it looks right now, it's going to be cleaned up. It's going to be well landscaped. It's the first thing that you see when you come into Lower Gwinnett, coming from, I guess, Montgomeryville. So it's going to look clean. It's going to look nice, walkways, everything. So I think it's going to be a great community. So all for it, and I'd like to get this moving.
No, we appreciate the fact that you're intimately impacted by it. And we understand that you want to move on with the rest of your lives.
Yeah.
I think that we also have a due diligence to the remaining neighbors who are still going to be here, still going to live here
Yeah.
and in that spot. And so we're just trying to balance,
Yeah.
you know, just them ensuring that they get answers and that they have a, I guess, a stake in the project as it relates to making sure that their concerns are known. But in no way, shape or form are we trying to delay this as it relates to you wanting
Absolutely.
to leave us
Yeah,
rapidly.
when I've also talked to other neighbors in the area, I walk my dog around.
Mhm.
They're all for it. They're all excited to have a walking trail, you know, because walking on Cedar Hill is extremely dangerous.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great improvement.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no problem.
Anybody else? No? Go ahead, Tessie.
Yeah, thanks. So, Mr. Pena, I think your plan is lovely. However, I do have two comments, I guess. It seems like we've had quite a plentiful planning for housing in Lower Gwinnett, which is geared toward, I would say, an upper income level. And you have said that this housing project development, I should say, is geared toward families that don't have children because there's not going to be playgrounds, et cetera. My concern is that we don't have many starter homes in Lower Gwinnett. And it would actually be refreshing to me to see homes being built that would be like in the maybe $500,000 or $400,000 range and allow more young couples with children that aren't eager to sell their house and get away, but rather can come to Lower Gwinnett to live. I'm not too concerned about too many children coming into the Wissahickon School District. We have great facilities for that. But right now, you know, if you consider what's a starter home, there's really not much in our community that fits that description. And so I would challenge you to try to understand that there are economic, the existence of other economic level folks that could be moving into Lower Gwinnett if there was housing available. And then the second thing is that I would like to challenge you on another front, which is sustainability. When you come before us again, I would like to see a plan of sustainable development, meaning that what are you doing with your building plans to make sure that the housing is including options for green energy and green development, leads development, and so forth, so that we begin to have new construction that adopts maybe solar energy or other means of providing energy to the homes. So these are just a couple of challenges for you to think about. Thank you.
Thanks, Tessie. Anybody else on the board? Jimmy, Janine?
I mean, I think my only comment is, I would like to, I don't want to slow things down, but I do think the neighbors should be given an opportunity to weigh in and be noticed like we've done with prior developments where it's sort of been targeted. The neighbors have been noticed just so that Mr. Penna can hear their feedback and basically explain to them, and he may have already addressed their concerns in the plans, but it may make folks feel better that they've been heard, and it may make things move faster in the long run because it would eliminate the idea that conditional use would be delayed. That's just my 2 cents. I don't want to hold things up, but I know at every meeting there's more neighbors, and sometimes they say, well, we didn't know about this in the beginning, and if we knew. So,
So can I make a suggestion on possibly? So at my market down the street, I have a pretty decent sized room in there. I'm more than happy to get the names of the people here. If Jamie wants to get them to me. Put it out there for people that want to come and chat and discuss the plan and discuss the development. more than happy to do that in the next few weeks. This process is pretty extensive and it takes a lot of time. So what I'm asking to do is to have get the process started now and get the overlay district map changed so that we could potentially use the zoning. Not that I'm going to use the zoning, but potentially use the zoning because the conditional use still has to happen. I'm just trying to kind of shore up that timeline a little bit for everyone involved in this. But I have no problem in having people come out. We could set up a time, we could set up a few times, have them come out and give the discussion, have the discussion, and see what comes of it. And then I can bring it back to you guys, hopefully before you even get to your next meeting. I can get it to the B and Z group and get it to Jamie, what we discussed, and go from there. But I think what I'm trying to get done here is to avoid, because not only do you have to advertise it, then you have to agree to do it and then change it and then go through the planning process with the planning commission and then go to the board. I mean, I did this for Fairlands and that took quite a bit of time. So I'm just trying to alleviate time. I've heard the challenges, right? So it's traffic.
Mr. Pennant.
Green
I just
space.
want
Sure.
to, say, we appreciate your time and your patience
Sure.
related to it. We know you came here in August.
Yeah, no
And we did
problem.
a first go of it. Today's the day where you're just presenting the sketch plan to us.
Mhm.
And we do have the opportunity to consider authorization to at least start that process. But I think we're just as a board trying to share with you our concerns. And that doesn't mean that we won't vote or not vote, but
Sure.
we know where the next steps are and we're fully.
Okay. Yeah.
Aware.
So I'm happy to have that
Yeah.
meeting or multiple meetings or whatever. I'm around for the.
And I
first
think
week.
the other, you don't have to do it the way, but previous developers have, worked with our staff that have
Mhm.
given them list of names and areas, and they've sent
Yeah.
out postcards and invited people. And I think that's
No
more
problem.
along, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think that's kind of what I was thinking. But go ahead, Jimmy.
I mean, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think communication is always key within, especially within this type of township and community we're at. And I believe, Mr. Penna, you've been open to it ever since you came in August. And I'm very happy that other town, residents are here and just continue the communication. I think that's really the best way to go. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Appreciate it. Any additional questions or comments from the board? Any additional questions or comments from the public? Seeing none. Oh, you can come on up. You can come on up. They can't hear you online till you get to the microphone.
Hi, again, Lisa Washabaugh from Trewellen Estates. And I was just thinking that if I were moving into your community over there, I can't help but think that it's a very small little walkway. And I know your wife had said, oh, they'll be able to stroller and do all these things in that little tiny triangle. And I actually think that just like Trewellen Reserve and Trewellen Estates, people go from one neighborhood to the other. And I can't imagine that your people are not going to want to come across the street, which is a pretty busy street, and want to walk the trails that we have going through our area. And I think that may need to be also a consideration is you're going to have a lot of foot traffic. If you've got 50 homes, there's no way they're going to want to sit and just walk continuously in their little triangle. And they are welcome, to come and be in our trails and things. But that's a dangerous road for people to be trying to cross, especially if your wife is right and they do think that they're going to be having children there, then that's really dangerous road to cross. And just a thought.
Hi,
I'm-
Tara.
I don't think they come across.
Tara
them.
again.
See 'em.
Here, I'm Tara. Hi, 1213 Cedar Hill Road. We do cross the street at Bethlehem Pike to go into your community to walk, to use the trails. We also cross Cedar Hill Road to use the YMCA. So whether, when there's a will, there's a way.
Well, I agree. I just think it needs to be part of the plan. You might want to think
So
that there. you
That's
might-
one of the.
Yeah, I think
points
that's
that you
a-
should be
I think
bringing
that's
up.
part of it. So I think that's.
We've had this issue before with Bethlehem Pike.
Yeah.
We have no ability as a township to put a crosswalk on Bethlehem Pike.
Mhm.
It's a PennDOT road. We've had this
Yeah.
issue down by the BMW dealership. Ms. Martin and I walked to campaign when we were running. She brought a stroller with her little son, and just walking down Bethlehem Pike is, I get it. I completely understand.
Yeah.
If it was the township being able to say, put a crosswalk in, great. I just want to manage expectations. We all can agree that a crosswalk should go there. You can put it in the
Yeah.
plan. It's not going to matter unless
Yeah.
PennDOT agrees to it.
So we had the same issue with
Yeah,
Fairland.
yes,
So,
yes,
so we have 23 homes that walk in our loop and cross Bethlehem Pike at Roberts.
Yeah.
Even during the development, they said no. After development, the 23 homeowners got together and petitioned PennDOT, and they still said no. So, I mean, like Mike said, it's really challenging to, we kind of take our cues from them, not give the cues. But I agree. So we're going to have, I think it's almost 2,000 frontage feet of sidewalk that are going to be there. Maybe more than that, actually, because if the sidewalk takes it all the way around,
Yeah.
you'll have 2,000 feet of sidewalk. And that development is, it's almost 10 acres. It's not, Fairlands is 3.5. So,
Oh,
you know, 10 acres is a significant size parcel. So there will be sidewalks in there for people to walk. You're still going to have to play Frogger get into your neighborhood, unfortunately, unless PennDOT does something about it. But, that's really not our say.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? And thank you, Mr. Penna, for coming again and doing that presentation. I think before the board now, we have the consideration, and this can be a conversation as it relates to, and Mr. Penna highlighted the fact that we could now authorize the advertisement of a legal notice. Or we can just wait and come back at our next meeting and make that advertisement after there's engagement with the community. It's totally up to us as a board, so I'm going to leave it open to comments and thoughts.
I'm not prepared to vote on that tonight. I
Okay.
think.
Janine?
Yeah, I agree. I think I just want to make sure that the neighbors feel that they've been heard and they're having the opportunity to be heard before we jump forward with the amendment.
Okay. Jimmy?
I mean, I believe that this is a long process and there will be opportunity for residents to be heard. So I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do understand the concerns of both the other two board members and their statements. So I am, not really, either way, I'm okay, but I think there is opportunity to be heard throughout this process too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Jimmy, that doesn't sound like a side. So I'll come back to you, Mr. Twersky.
I take Jimmy's side.
Good God.
Oh, my God.
Okay, well, I'm in favor of us 2 more weeks. I think if we come back and we can consider this, is it 3 weeks, September 30th, it's 3 weeks from now. I think that gives an opportunity for Mr. Pennant to engage with our staff, to get a list of names, to send out some invitations, do an open house. And then we can confirm on the 30th. Any other questions or concerns can be brought back to the board during that period of time. And then we could have an opportunity to ensure that we did our due diligence to make sure that all the remaining neighbors had an opportunity to know about it, to understand it, and to have input, if that's okay.
And like the other developments, can we send out like how we've sort of, whenever we send out a notice for this?
I think the
these
developer sent it out, but we
conversations?
just
Okay.
provide them
You
the
don't
list.
send out the notice for the community
Yeah.
discussion.
Mr. Penna does
Developer
it.
The
that.
developer does it, but we can
And
coordinate
then
the names in the
when-
area.
When plans are submitted, there's an ordinance that requires people within a certain radius.
get the notice.
Mhm. But historically, we've given like the parameters of okay, go ahead, Mimi, I'm sorry.
So since we have folks from the 2 HOAs, do you have email addresses for all of your residents? Do you think, or at least? So that would help a lot if you, can you send, no, I wouldn't want you, but if we email you, can you forward it to all of your residents? Because that takes care of a lot of them. And then then Pete would only have to mail, is there an HOA on Cedar Hill Road?
No.
So it's a smaller number, that it's not trying to get through the post office, which seems to have erratic delivery times. It's just where I'm going. Like, there's a smaller number that we could work with Pete this week to make sure he has all the addresses for folks within perhaps anywhere near it on Cedar Hill Road. And then we'd have the
And are we
reserve.
in Chesterfield? Because I don't like, you do live here? Do you guys have an HOA? You do?
Great.
Okay. So I think if you three can just give your emails to, and I think our chief has a piece of paper and he's gonna come around and hand it out because we're efficient here. And then you can get that to our township manager and then we can start the process of facilitating communications.
Jamie, could you just bring up Tracer so we're looking at the map, make sure we have, just, it would help if we take just a minute, because it's kind of a short turnaround.
Yep.
To make sure we know who to notify,
Yep.
who Mr. Penna needs to notify.
What happens when there's only one item on the agenda, you know?
You can get stuff
Just
done.
connecting people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't. Just those folks. It doesn't need to be like.
I can't see.
Yeah, where?
The Chesterfield and I see, yeah. Chesterfield, Wesleyan Court and Kingsley, but Chesterfield's closer, right?
Yeah, Chesterfield's in here, but these, the one, like, they're kind of the opposite.
It's Cedar
side.
Hill right there.
This is Cedar Hill right here, yeah.
And so then, intern,
Yeah, all of, the estates.
and then the Fairland Drive and all of that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to the board? They're here, okay.
Yeah.
So
I would
Chesterfield,
stay on this side of 309, yeah.
intern, the individuals on Cedar Hill, and then, Trellin Estates. Those are the most near neighbors, right? There's no others.
I think that's right. It's just a triangle.
Yeah.
So
Does anybody disagree, sirs?
No.
No? You good with that? Okay.
No, I can't see from this angle, but, it sounds like
So there's,
that covers the near neighbors.
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah, 'cause
does.
then you're using 309 as your border, which is
Okay.
good, I
Yeah,
think.
'cause it's just a triangle.
here's Chester.
They've got everybody on each
Yeah.
side.
So.
Okay.
Also should be an opportunity for
I'm sorry, what did
people outside of that geographic area, but I'm not sure how to advertise.
Well, that's why we had, so just to be clear, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to call us back to order so we can wrap all this up.
So that's kind of.
We've identified on Treasure, I think, the 3 neighborhoods that we would like to include. Everybody had an opportunity to write down their email addresses, and we'll give it to our township manager. We're good? Okay. I think that to Tessie's point, Tessie wanted to say others, but I think our public meetings that have been advertised are the opportunity for others within the township to be aware. And so we've had 2 of them, August and this one tonight, September
And
9th.
for everybody in the room, and just when we've had these open houses for these developments, you know, I mean, if you tell a friend and somebody comes, they come, but I think why they've been so beneficial is because they haven't been large crowds. It's you have these one-on-one conversations with Mr. Penna. He's hearing from you. The traffic engineer is sitting over here. You have a conversation. You just get so much more out of it. It's harder in this kind of formal setting to have it, but because of that, it just seemed for that particular kind of meeting, it works better if it's the people who live somewhere near it, not just anywhere in Lower Gwinnett, but you know, neighbors and a little bit beyond, not like just right next door, but
And we
people
can
who
try
can
to
walk to it, basically, that idea.
And we can try to extend, thank you guys. We can try to extend to Mr. Penna the same courtesies we did around the other neighbors, like if they want our traffic engineer or our engineer to come to answer any questions that residents have, we can also extend that as well. Are you okay with that? Okay. All right, thank you so much. I'm gonna
Thank
move
you,
on to
Mr.
general
Penna.
business. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm not gonna require anybody to stay that chooses not to. And for the rest of the board, we have in our board packet our invoice report for September 9th, 2025. Does everyone have an opportunity to review our invoice report?
Yep.
Any questions and concerns related to our invoice report?
No.
I'd like to make a motion to approve. Any questions or concerns from the public related to our invoice report? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the invoice report for September 9th, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Tessie, did you say?
I,
Motion's approved. Next up is consideration of the approval for our minutes for our meeting of August 26, 2025, including the board packet. Were there minutes? Are there any questions or concerns from the board? Any questions or concerns from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of August 26, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I.
Motion carries. Supervisor liaison reports are included in the board packet for us to read at our leisure. Any staff updates?
Yes, so a grant round opened for RACP with a very quick turnaround. Grant applications are due September 23rd, so we are going to submit another one for the Public Works facility, pretty much same as the last one.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other staff updates? Very good. Supervisor comments, Tessie, too.
Oh, well, I'd just like to encourage the public to come out to the Fall Fest coming up, and that's all.
Okay. Janine?
Yay, Fall Fest. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to the Fall Fest Committee and the Parks and Rec and everybody who's helping us put on this wonderful event, our sponsors, our vendors, Andy, everybody. Thank you.
Awesome job. Jimmy?
Fall Fest, yes, and, well, I guess I'll just be at Fall Fest and Mike can address anything else. So, yeah.
Tversky?
Don't rain on my parade.
I'm not raining on anyone's parade. Yay, Fall Fest.
Just want to say thank you, everybody that took a lot of time putting together our Fall Fest. Kathy, the whole Park and Rec Committee, Sandy, all of our staff that have engaged. I know our Public Works Department is helping out as well, but we've had other volunteers in the Fall Fest Committee who've worked really hard to get vendors. And so very excited for Fall Fest. I think we're going to have perfect weather. Please come out and enjoy. Oh, sorry.
Everybody.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys. Getting real distracted there. Okay, at the end, when we were trying to close it, you get real distracted, okay?
With your nonsense, it's easy to get distracted. Stop projecting. Stop projecting.